We're talking Sarracenias today on Pots and Trowels, and that's brought to you with the support of Cobra Garden and King Seeds. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels. Well, we're going to talk about these unusual plants today on Pots and Trowels. These are Sarracenias, the North American pitcher plant. They grow in very boggy ground, sort of peatland, and they feed by catching flies. So we don't sprinkle fertiliser around them like lots of other plants. They catch flies in these pitchers, they're attracted, they go in there, and then they die and they're digested and the nutrients feed the plants. And at this time of the year, they're not looking particularly good because they've just come through a winter, and essentially they're herbaceous perennials. The tops die down and we get the new growth coming up from the rhizome. And we have talked about them before. We've talked to Pete from Waxwicked Plants up there in North Yorkshire. He's a specialist in this type of plant, and also Matt from Hampshire Carnivorous Plants down there in Hampshire. So they've both featured on the podcast, so you can hear that if you want to. And we've also seen these in their glory at a flower show when we saw Matt Soper from Hampshire last year. So if you want to see them looking big and established, have a look out for that video as well on YouTube. But as I said, they've come through the winter. They look tropical, but they're not. They're hardy. Lots of people grow these outside in boggy conditions. Because these are only young plants that we only got last September, we decided to keep them in the greenhouse where they've not had frost protection because there's no heating in here. So it has got down to -3 over the winter and they're fine. And this is the time of the year just to give them a bit of a trim. And if we look at it, we've got here the old pitchers. In fact, if I swap this one for this one, you can see these are the pitchers. And this one is actually collapsed and it's died. And if I open that, we can see inside there, that is full of dead flies that it caught last summer. So that's what's been feeding them. So all these pitchers now have done their job. And they grow quite unusual because these, I say, are only just young plants. They form a little rhizome there that is almost on the surface of the soil. And that will get bigger and bigger, and it gets quite big. And in fact, when they get very established, you can chop that up into sections to propagate them. But these are only small. So that is basically the food supply as well for the plant. And we've got these old pitchers here, as we can see, they've done their job. But then at the same time, we've got lots of new ones just starting to grow, these little ones here from the base. So they're going to be the pitchers that will give us our display this year. So what we need to do is to get rid of everything on there that looks pretty horrible, really. So I find these little pointy snippers ideal. And what I'm going to do is just go in there and snip off the old ones. It's right down as far back as we can. So that's a little old one. Make sure you don't cut the new ones off if they're starting to grow. So this is going to look very bare when we've finished. And I'm sure if you've got lots of these, you can do it much faster. But I'm just conscious that this one is producing new ones and I don't want to chop them off. So that's an old one there as well. We can tell the old ones because the tops are starting to die, so we can chop that one off and that one in there. Although they're old ones, I'm going to leave them on because they look fine. So we can see now we've got all this new growth. In fact, that one has started to rot. So we will actually take that one off. And then we'll take that one off as well then because it just puts it out of balance. If I can find the base of it. There. So we've now cut all of the old ones off and we're left now with all the new growth that will then over the summer get 2 or 3 times high. They'll get much bigger and then they will get to a good size and look really impressive. Now, when it comes to potting up, this one isn't ready to pot up. The time to pot them up is when this rhizome has grown to the point where it distorts the pot. It's pushing the pot out of shape. So I think we'll get at least another year in these small pots, and then maybe next year when it's absolutely full of rhizome within the pot, we can then pot them up into a mixture, which we'll show you how to do. So what I'm going to do now is spend a happy 10 minutes just snipping all these old pitchers off. So I've cut them down fairly hard. As you can see with this one, I've cut all the old off, but you can see these new, what will be the pitchers just developing. So they will all shoot from that rhizome. But one or two, I've left some pitchers on that are healthy. They haven't started to go brown. These can be taken off later on in the season. If they start to discolour, when we've got lots of new growth, I'll take those down. So that's all you need to do to them. But the final thing is to remember that these grow in boggy conditions. So unlike most other plants, these like to be stood in water. And this isn't tap water, this is rainwater. They like soft water. So I put them in these little trays. So we just keep them topped up with water like that. They will now start into growth, and within a month or two we'll have some new pitchers on there. And if you are thinking of visiting any of the spring flower shows, such as the Harrogate Spring Flower Show or the Malvern Spring Festival, then you'll see nurseries exhibiting these there, and they'll also have plants for sale. So go and have a look, because they are fascinating plants. Thank you for watching, and remember, all the videos that we've done you can find on YouTube. And just also a little reminder that as a follower of Pots and Trowels, King Seed, who are one of our sponsors, offer a 10% discount on seeds that are ordered online through their website. So that's kingseeds.com, and all you have to do is use the discount code, which is PT2025, to qualify for your 10%. So go and buy lots of seeds. We'll be back again in the garden next week when we're cutting down the dogwoods. So we'll see you then. Bye.